Welcome to another episode of the MMA Lock-Cast. I'm your host, Manpreet, a.k.a. MMA Lock of the Night, and your boy on Twitter at MMALOTN. This week we're going over a huge event, UFC 241, pay-per-view headlined by Daniel Cormier, defending his title off of against the man that he won it from, Stipe Miocic. This will be DC's second defense of the heavyweight title. And then in the co-main event, we got Nate Diaz making his return after beating Conor McGregor way back at, going to a decision with Conor McGregor way back at UFC 202, going up against Anthony Showtime Pettis, which should be a great fucking fight. And then we also got the return of the Soldier of God, Yoel Romero versus Paulo Borrachinha Costa, which is a fight all of us have been looking forward to. It's like two superhuman action figures going up against each other, and probably like the best bodies in MMA going against each other, and they just have devastating knockout power as well, which should make the fight very intriguing and entertaining. However, we're going to be starting off with the casuals, and my man Big Rob is back in the house.
Hey.
What up, what up, what up? So I wasn't able to make it out to the studio last week. We had a super fucking busy week. Rob had his shit going on. I had my own shit going on. Hence why you guys got like a fucking recording from my phone on my way to Ottawa. And I still managed to get it out for you guys. So for the however many views I got on SoundCloud, much appreciated. Hopefully I helped you guys out. But for the casuals, we're actually going to be starting off with a fight that took place this past weekend. Mike Perry versus Vicente Luque. I'm not going to obviously show him the whole fight because it went to a decision. However, there was one very crucial moment that led to probably the most talked about thing that came out of this UFC Uruguay event. So there's actually a quick highlight video, a 25-second highlight video on YouTube that I'm going to show my man Big Rob. So yeah, just fucking take a look at this. Okay. Let's get right into it.
Oh,
look at that knee. Like it's a flying-ish knee that lands like clean.
Wow.
The effects are kind of weird on this video, but perfectly. And look at his nose. Look at his fucking nose.
It doesn't even have a nose left.
No, look at that. Let's see if I can fucking.
So
look at that.
Are you allowed to hit people in the nose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
hit wherever the hell you want, except the balls, or can't gouge the eyes, right?
Okay.
But look, like that is probably the most mangled nose I've ever seen.
Yeah, man. Wait, let's see the before picture.
You want to compare?
Yeah.
Look at this shit.
Wait, let's rewind that before you get the blow. I want to see that.
Oh,
again.
You can't really see his nose though. Let's see if they have a. But yeah, dude, he got really badly hurt in that. It was nuts in terms of like somebody kind of like almost spoiled it for me by saying that there's a nose that you see, and I didn't know whose it was or what it was. I want to check out this other
cool.
YouTube video and see if we can get a better angle of it or something. Don't care about that. Here we go.
Okay.
Look at this. God damn,
dude.
His nose is probably the most.
Yeah, no! Look
at that.
No.
Yep. It's like almost in his eye.
It's not even attached to his face. Like, I mean, like the skin's holding it, but the cartilage behind it is all disconnected, and it's
like
just
that's where his nose is, and there's just like a soft patch of skin right there. Right?
Yeah. That's where the holes are, where the air goes in. Like it's like, oh my god.
So he's like breathing around the corner right now.
Man,
how fucking crazy is that?
Now, let me ask you this.
Yep.
That he got hit in the nose with the guy with the knee, is it just because that guy's doing a copycat move because the other guy was so successful hitting the other guy in the face with the knee a few weeks ago?
Oh, I think it's more so just this guy's style. Like this Vicente Luque guy, he's a really good striker.
Okay.
And I think he may have picked up on certain tendencies from his opponent Mike Perry, which allowed him to land that knee so cleanly.
Yeah.
You don't normally see that type of damage on noses from knees from knees like that. That one's one of the more rare ones, right? So it's it was perfectly timed, perfectly placed, and aesthetically it probably just looked the most disgusting as well.
Man. Now this guy, let me ask you this. Does this is this just action from the knee only, or was this guy's nose hit so many times it's just hanging by a thread?
See, I would say it's more so the knee.
Okay.
It was probably the knee.
Okay.
Yeah, like repeatedly, like he was getting busted up for the whole fight.
Yeah.
But it was nothing noticeable on the nose until like that knee landed.
Yeah.
And I think that was like the last minute of the fight too, which probably fucked everything up. Yeah, he had to have 1 hour surgery. They're in Uruguay where they were doing this fight. So he was getting fucking. I don't know if the UFC had doctors that were licensed to allow to do that type of surgery down there, but he may have had to do it from some foreign doctor, and then had to fly back to Florida after that. Like, I don't know.
That's
dude.
wild.
That's one of the crazier fucking knees I've ever seen.
It looks like plasticine. His nose. Like, it doesn't even look real, man. It looks like some special effects stuff. Like,
there's another guy, Andrei Arlovsky, whose like nose is just permanently crooked now, just from the years of beatings, not beatings, but like damage.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of see it.
Oh
here.
my God. He's looking one way, his nose is looking the other way, man.
like you can kind of see it where it's just like just sniffing around a corner.
Man. Poor guy.
Damn, that was fucking nuts, dude.
But his ears are okay, surprisingly.
Yeah, he wasn't much of a wrestler. Other guys kind of have like the more cauliflower ear from like the friction and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I had a crazy fucking week. I was kind of waiting for the fucking podcast to happen, because it's kind of pushed like my whole week back. So last weekend was not this past weekend, but the weekend before was a long weekend for us Canadians, right? Civic holiday.
Yeah.
So I'm just planning on chilling out the whole weekend. Nope. Sunday I had to go to my mom's place to help paint.
Oh, you getting things ready?
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. I thought that was only going to take 1 day. Nope. Took 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
So I ended up going to her place again on Monday, which was a holiday. Painted that day. Tuesday I had work. I had to go pretty much work a double shift. Okay. So we have like a trade show going on now, and they just needed assistance setting up the trade show at the Congress Center that's by us. Yeah. So I had to go Tuesday after work and Wednesday after work. Thursday was my girl's birthday. So that day's a fucking write-off.
It's all busy.
Fucking write-off. And then Friday. So I surprised my girlfriend with a trip to Ottawa.
Ooh,
so that was very like spontaneous. I just fucking found an Airbnb, booked that shit ASAP. And then Friday after work, I pretty much got home, took a shower, and we got on the road right away. We got to Ottawa at like 11 p.m.-ish.
Okay.
Great location too, though. Okay. Dude, like our condo or our Airbnb was like a solid 5-minute walk away from Parliament Hill.
Oh, nice.
So like we did not, once we parked, we didn't touch the car until we left.
Yeah.
Everything was in walking distance. So it was fucking awesome in that aspect. So we were able just to get fucked up the entire time. Didn't give a fuck,
beautiful
right?
there.
It was awesome. So Saturday was kind of like the main day. My girl really loves Parliament. She loves like politics and all that type of shit.
Cool.
But she's never actually taken the tour of Parliament.
Okay.
So we actually took the tour at like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whatever it was. Unfortunately, for anybody that's ever been to the Parliament in Ottawa, they have like 3 blocks. So they have the West Block, the Center Block, and the East Block. The Center Block is like the Peace Tower and like the main building, right?
Right.
However, this summer, they closed that shit for 10 to 15 years of renovation.
10 to 15 years?
Yes.
It's going to take that long?
Yeah. 10 to 15 years. So no tours, no public is allowed to go into that center block, essentially. Holy shit. We were only able to see East Block and the House of Commons. So that shit was cool. It's interesting to see. And then that night, we saw these ads for this thing called the Northern Lights. Okay. And it's like a show that they put on that tells the history of Parliament. Okay. But they project it onto Parliament.
That's badass.
So like the screen is Parliament itself.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
It was pretty fucking sick. It was supposed to start at 9:30, and we were in the vicinity. We're just blazing. We're just chilling and shit. And we just heard these like it sounded like cannons going off or something like that. Oh, like it just sounded like huge bangs, and we're maybe like a solid like 5-minute walk away from it. We're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And then you slowly see a little bit of smoke coming up closer to the Parliament area, right? Okay. Like what the fuck? So we go closer, and then you see fireworks. We're like, what the fuck? We're not expecting any fireworks. So we get to Parliament, and there's this huge fucking fireworks show going on behind Parliament.
Oh, beautiful!
Like huge. Like so it turns out that there's like some firework competition going on. So for anybody that doesn't know, behind Parliament there's a river, and across the river is actually Quebec. That's where Gatineau is. So the firework thing was going on in Gatineau, but you could see it so clearly from in front of Parliament that everybody was just lining up in front of Parliament and just watching the fireworks. One of the craziest things I've ever seen. Like anything compared to Wonderland or anywhere else I've been to fireworks was dog shit compared to this show. It was sick.
It was like a legit show.
Like legit like fireworks show. It went from like 9:10 to about 9:40. It was like half an hour, dude. It was solid half an hour.
That's
And
a
the
lot
show-
of explosives.
That History of Parliament show was supposed to happen at 9:30. So
Holy
we're just
shit.
like, okay, maybe we're late for it. This is maybe a part of the show. We had no idea. We ended up
Maybe.
asking somebody after, but they're like, oh, it just so happened that it lined up this way. You're lucky that it just lined up this way. I was like, sick.
Yeah.
So the thing is, when you hear the fireworks, I don't know if you've ever been that close to fireworks, where when you hear the bang, you kind of feel it in your chest.
Yeah, it resonates. You feel it. It's
the
pretty wild.
reverberation off of like
Yeah.
all of the walls and stuff
Yeah, yeah,
around,
yeah.
like the buildings and everything. It just made it so much more intense. Like, it was so
Yeah.
sick. It was probably one of the best experiences I've had. Then we stayed for the show with the projection on the fucking Parliament.
Mint.
One of the craziest fucking things I've seen. Like, I would highly recommend anybody to go fucking check that out. I think it's a nightly occurrence in Ottawa for all of summer. If you guys are ever out there, definitely go check that out. It's only like a 30-minute show. They have a lawn where you can just sit on your butt and bring
Cool.
a fucking blanket or something.
Yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah.
You can stand and watch the whole show too, right? I'll show you some pictures after the show, but
Okay.
goddamn, it looked fucking nuts. It was insane. So we did that. Our initial plan was to go to Byward Market, which is like the kind of like their student club district,
Okay.
almost like not high school, but university club scene.
Okay. Yeah.
We fucking ended up walking there, having like 2 beers, and then we just walked back. We're like, fuck
Yeah.
it. We just walked around. And then the next morning we had to leave super early, but we saw the changing of the guard.
Oh.
So they have like people playing horns and trumpets and fucking drumline and all that type of shit, walking down the streets of Ottawa towards the Parliament. I think it starts off at the War Memorial, which is
Okay.
just down the street from Parliament, and then they just walk up to Parliament. They do like some fucking army shit. They have like the red thing with the
Yeah,
black
yeah,
hat,
yeah,
like
yeah.
the full British
Oh,
get
yeah.
up, the full British army get up, and then they just like do like the changing of the guard. It's fucking insane. We just stumbled upon that too. Then we left. We got out of the city around 11 o'clock, got back to Toronto for
Okay.
about 4-ish. And I was going
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Okay.
Then I had a wrestling show to go to. WWE had like a big pay-per-view event, SummerSlam,
Okay.
happening at the Scotiabank Arena. So I went,
Oh, shit.
literally got home, showered. My boy and my brother met up with me at the condo, and we went right
Okay.
down to the show. I'm going off of like 5 hours of sleep at that point. Chug
I
a
don't know how
fucking
you
iced
do it,
coffee,
dude.
Tim Hortons, shoot me a fucking sponsorship because I'm living off you guys at this point. And yeah, it was fucking. So we went to the show, got back up around like 1 o'clock, back up to my condo, and then I slept for 4 hours, got back up at 5 o'clock to get to work.
Yeah.
And I went to work, went to my mom's house real quick, and now I'm back. I'm in the studio. I'm like,
Oh my god.
I've had the longest fucking week. It feels like the fucking weekend just felt like it went like that. Like,
Oh yeah.
It's
like a blink
insane,
of
dude.
yeah.
holy
Jam
shit.
packed, man.
I know, I had the tape index is supposed to be out. I haven't been able to finish that. I'm going to be putting the finishing touches on that tonight.
Cool.
Yeah, like just all my Lock of the Night challenge thing that I've been doing for you guys. I haven't even been able to update the standings because I've been so fucking busy. It's just been a whirlwind. I think things are going to slowly start to settle down a little bit now, but holy fuck, I feel like I'm in like a hurricane right now. Jesus. God
Buckle up.
damn. Yeah. And
Because, well, today is what, the 50th, and we got
yeah,
a surprise.
50, yeah, we got the 50th episode today, which is fucking amazing. And we do have a little bit of a surprise for you guys a little bit later in the show. Can't wait to fucking unveil it. Big Rob has been a big help to make this happen and orchestrate all this, so I'm very endeared to this motherfucker right here. This guy's always looking out for me, so I appreciate it. But I think
You're
we're just going to
welcome,
continue to take this fucking show to the next level and next and next and next. It
Yeah,
starts
man.
with the 50th show. Well, it
Yeah.
started with number 1, but, you know,
Yeah.
50th, we're continuing to innovate and make it better.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Okay.
Appreciate you as always.
Thank you.
And thank you for that VR fucking thing earlier today, too. I know you're going to go fucking play that as soon as you get up now.
I
Dude,
love it.
I'm probably going to waste my time here after fucking playing that shit, too. He got the Oculus Rift pretty
Oh,
much.
it's so good.
And we were fucking around with that a little bit before we started recording. But I'm here for this, so we're going to fucking do this. Appreciate it, Rob. You're the best. All right. Before we get into UFC 241, we're going to quickly go over UFC Uruguay that happened this past weekend. I was finally able to catch up on it last night. It was so hard to stay off of fucking social media because I saw all these notifications. I just wanted to say what up to you guys and see how everybody did. But I finally caught up last night. Unfortunately, I ended up on the losing end. We'll start off with our 2 losing picks. Starting off with Alexei Kunchenko, 2 units. minus 2 units at minus 127 against Gilbert Burns. Kunchenko showed off his great boxing. I think he was winning the striking exchanges, but it really came down to those 2 takedowns that Gilbert Burns was able to hit in the first round and the second round, and that managed to keep Kunchenko down for the majority of those rounds, which is what I believe really won him the fight. So big up to Gilbert Burns for taking this fight on short notice, up a weight class as well, against against an undefeated Alexei Kunchenko, and a guy that a lot of people were not able to really solve. So big shout out to Gilbert Burns for getting the victory there. Next on my lock of the night play was an L. I kind of feel shitty betting it afterwards, but hindsight is always 20/20. I wasn't sold on Marina Rodriguez, but I kind of am now. I want to see what other competition she faces, but she really was able to stifle Tecia Torres' attack, fend off all the takedowns, and just landed the bigger and better strikes. And you can kind of see in Torres' face that she was kind of getting more and more demoralized as the fight was not going her way. So I really thought her veteran experience and her strength was going to play a big advantage here. However, Marina Rodriguez was able to keep this fight on the feet, keep Tecia Torres on the outside, and continuously beat her up. So big up to Rodriguez there. And then let's just go on over to the 2 bets that I actually cashed. 2 units at minus 200 for Rafael Pessoa against Cyril Gane. Under 1.5, that probably should have been my lock of the night play. I'm not sure why I didn't hit that harder, but minus 200 was a great price for a fight that I thought was probably not even going to make it out of the first round, and it did not. So 1 unit of profit there, and then also I had 1 unit at plus 100 on the over 3.5 rounds on Valentina Shevchenko against Liz Carmouche. I thought that was kind of a no-brainer. I feel like I'm the Shevchenko whisperer in the fact that I'm able to call whether if this fight's going to go to a decision or if it's going to be a finish, and I called it last time that she was going to knock out Jessica Ai relatively early, and now I called that she wasn't going to be able to put away Liz Carmouche, who's very durable and a very resilient opponent, and that over 3.5 cashed pretty easily. So 1 unit at plus 100 cash for 1 unit, but overall minus 5 units. Pretty shitty, but we're going to move right the fuck along to UFC 241, which goes down this weekend, and I have plenty of plays that I think I'm going to play for this, but I got to be very selective. Money management is number 1, obviously, and then go from there. But I have a lot of lines that I really like, and geez, the line on one of my plays that I've already played is starting to close a bit too, and one that I'm looking to play is getting a little bit wider, so I might need to hit that soon. I'm probably going to hit it while I'm on this website or while I'm doing this podcast, but we'll see a little bit later. So let's fucking kick this thing off right off the bat. Oh, you know what? Let me give you guys my quick thoughts on this card. Decent card from top to bottom. There's something intriguing in every fight, in my opinion, from right down onto the bottom. Sabina Mazo coming off her first loss. It's going to be interesting to see how she bounces back from this fight. Kyung is a guy that I'm a big fan of. Hannah Cifers coming back against Jodie Esquibel. Manny Bermudez. A lot of people are really big on him. Drakkar Klose against Christos Giagos, not really hyped for that. Rafael Assuncao playing the gatekeeper role here with Corey Sandhagen, trying to see if Sandhagen can make it to the next level. Devontae Smith fighting Clay Collard, who's making his UFC return. Derek Brunson against Ian Heinisch, maybe a passing of the torch fight there. Sadiq Yussuf against Gabriel Benitez. Motherfucking Romero against Paulo Costa. Do I even have to say anything about that? The return of Nate Diaz, finally. He's supposed to fight Dustin Poirier last year. That didn't come to fruition, and now here he is fighting Anthony Pettis, who's coming off a big win. And then DC defending his title for the second time against Stipe Miocic, who's the guy that lost the title to him as well. So big card, super excited for it. Probably not going to be able to watch it live because I got a fucking life, guys. It's unfortunate with the UFC event every fucking weekend that I have shit to do at times, and this is unfortunately one of the bigger cards that I'm going to have to miss. So I'll be able to catch up with it hopefully right afterwards, if not the next day. But let's fucking get this card going and let's get this show on the road. So now, first up, we got Sabina Mazo versus Shana Dobson. Sabina Mazo is coming off her first L. She was 6-0 coming into the UFC, and now she took her first loss to Marina Moroz way back in March, end of March. Via decision. And I think this fight against Shana Dobson is a little bit of a tee up for her to kind of get back on the winning ways. She's a decent striker. She could have had a little bit more urgency in that fight against Marina Moroz. However, she let that fight slip away from her, and Marina Moroz was able to get the victory. But I think that, she has a very promising future. She's kind of lanky. She has a 70-inch reach, which is very impressive. But Shana Dobson herself is a little bit of a lanky girl, but I don't think she has the wherewithal and the experience to really use it effectively. I'm not big on Shana Dobson. I did fade her, I believe, her last time around. I think I did. In the Lauren Mueller fight. Yeah, I think I took Lauren Mueller. I'm trying to remember, but I feel like I definitely did fade her. But regardless, I'm not impressed with Shana Dobson, primarily a striker. But yeah, I'm just not impressed with her at all. I like Sabina Mazo here, especially at the dog odds that she's at. I may hit her very shortly. I want to see if the odds somehow get wider. I don't know how people can confidently bet Shana Dobson here, but I guess recency bias taken into consideration. The fact that Sabina Mazo lost the way that she did to Marino Moroz is playing into a lot of people's eyes here, but I think that she'll have Shana Dobson's number, pick her apart from the outside, and win a decision victory. So I will be going with Sabina Mazo as the underdog via decision. Next up, we got Kyung Ho Kang against Brandon Davis. Kyung Ho Kang is a guy that I've been high on for a long time. He had a very close split decision loss to Ricardo Ramos way back in August of last year. But he also has an L to Chico Camus. And also a loss technically to Alex Caceres, but now it's a no contest. I believe Caceres tested positive for weed. But regardless, I'm very impressed with Kyung. I think that he has a bright future. I think he is getting up there in age, unfortunately, though. 87, he's 31. He still has time, in my opinion. He's coming off a victory over Taruti Ishihara in his last fight. Kind of went down the way I expected it to. If he was able to get the fight to the ground, he should have been able to find the choke relatively quickly, and he did. And I think that he's going to have kind of the same success against the guy in Brandon Davis here. Brandon Davis, I forgot who it was, but one of my friends was saying that he's a part of that no takedown camp, and I kind of agree. I think that Kang is going to have a lot of success taking this fight to the ground if he chooses to. A little gassy, apologies, guy. Apologize, guys. But I think he's a little, I think that Kang is obviously going to be the stronger guy. He does a lot of good work when he's able to get his, hands clinched against around these guys and drag them to the floor. And I think it's going to be no different against a guy like Brandon Davis, again, who's cutting a fuck ton of weight. I think he was saying he was running 30 miles a week or some shit, some ridiculous number just to make sure that he's able to make weight. But I'm not sure if he's going to have the same success against a guy like Kyung, who probably has the weight cut a little bit down better. And he's still like he's a big guy. Let's see, 72-inch reach for Brandon Davis, 72-inch reach for Kang, and I think that Davis just has a 1-inch height advantage as well. So it's not going to be a huge size discrepancy here, and if anything, you got to go with the guy that who has been at bantamweight for a longer time and has been more comfortable at that weight. So I like Kang here. I actually have him in a parlay as well, a 1.5 unit parlay with the next fight that I'm going to be talking about. But I do like Kang here. I just think that Davis, he's just not a really revolutionary type of guy. He's not evolving in his game. And he may think that going down to 35 is the best thing for him to do, but it's more so just a way for him to find more life. He was, 1-3 in his UFC stint at 145, and the only way he was probably going to be able to stick around is just by going down a weight class. He lost to Enrique Barzola and beat Magomed Sharipov, and then he goes down to 135 and beats UFC newcomer Randy Costa. Kind of think that was a toss-up fight for him as well in terms of it being in his home state, and the guy only being 4-0 going into that fight too. So good win for Brandon Davis, but I think that this is where his bantamweight momentum stops, and I think that Kang gets the, I'm going to say, I wouldn't be surprised to see Kang to get a finish, like a choke of some sort, but I'll go with Kang by second round submission. Let's leave it at that. But yeah, I do have him in a parlay, a 1.5 unit parlay at plus 120 with the girl in the next fight, Hannah Cifers, who's facing Jodie Esquibel. So Hannah Cifers is a pretty hefty favorite over Esquibel. But the thing is with Esquibel, she never really improves. She kind of just stays stagnant. She doesn't really try to take her game to another level. To get completely outboxed and outstruck by a girl like Jessica Aguilar is just sad. Like considering what Aguilar has looked like as of late, I just don't think that Jodie Esquibel is going to be able to change anything enough to, beat a girl like Hannah Cifers as well, who throws with a lot of fucking heat. I wouldn't be surprised to see Esquibel drop or get dropped by Hannah Cifers here, and Hannah Cifers gets some sort of like TKO finish. But she throws with a lot of heat. She's very strong. She's like very unassumingly strong as well, which is kind of weird. I was surprised to see the type of fighting style that she has once I started running the tape on her, just due to the fact that her, appearance makes her look like she's more of a point fighter. But no, she likes to go for the finish. She has, let's see, how many finishes does she have in her record now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry, wins. Let's see, finishes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 finishes in 9 fights. That's or 9 wins, I should say. That's very impressive. And that Poliana Vienna fight, she was a hefty underdog in that fight. I think plus 235 or so. And I didn't bet her, but I did pick her to win, and that felt kind of good. I wish I kind of bet her as well, so it went my way. But I think that, I'm definitely taking advantage of it here. A little bit juicy at minus 250-ish range, but, parlaying her with Kyung Ho Kong, I feel a lot more confident, especially getting plus money on a spot like this with Kang is very very enticing. So I like Hannah Cifers to win this fight via, let's say, by decision. I will give it to Jodie Esquibel. She is a little bit tough, and she might have glimpses of success here, but I don't think that she's going to win the whole 15 minutes. And I think that Hannah Cifers is just going to continuously hurt her and make it a bad night. So I'm going with Hannah Cifers via decision. Next up, we have another fight that I might be making a bet on, is Manny Bermudez versus Casey Kenney. I love me some Bermudez, guys. I think he has a little bit of that Brian Ortega effect. I think that he has that, like, he can kind of get a choke from anywhere he wants. Look at how many fucking triangle chokes this motherfucker has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 triangle choke finishes in, 13 wins, 14 wins? That's very good. Over a 33% triangle choke finish rate, which is crazy. But I'm very impressed with this guy. Like I said, he has that Brian Ortega style where I think he's going to be able to catch submissions from almost anywhere. I don't want to take anything away from Casey Kenney, though. He has that big victory over Ray Borg in his UFC debut. A lot of people thought that Ray Borg won that fight, but it was a very back and forth fight. I think that Casey Kenney has a pretty good scrambling game, but I don't know if he's gone up against a guy who has the jiu-jitsu and the knack for looking for submissions like a guy like Manny Bermudez. And I think in some of those transitions is where Manny Bermudez is going to catch a choke of some sort. If these guys are somehow touching or clinching or grappling, I would be scared for Casey Kenney. You don't know the type of setups that Manny Bermudez is able to come up with. I think he's a very crafty jiu-jitsu player, and I think that he's going to continue to take it up. And it's only really going to come down to when he fights guys that have, the striking and takedown defense and, decent enough jiu-jitsu to actually beat a guy like Manny Bermudez. We saw it in Max Holloway against Brian Ortega. If Brian Ortega is not able to get a hold of this guy, he's going to get beat up. So if Manny Bermudez comes into a fight and let's see, he's at 135. Let's say he fights like a Cody Garbrandt who's able to keep the fight on the feet, he's going to get beat the fuck up. I don't think that Casey Kenney provides that type of threat for him, though. So I'm going to take Manny Bermudez here by submission. I'll say second round, but I'm on the fucking Bermudez triangle train, guys. And I think I might bet him. It's currently sitting at minus 117 on Pinnacle. I like the close odds, and I might take a little bit of a stab on him. So I like Bermudez here to win by second round submission. Next up, we got Christos Giagos against Drakkar Klose. One of the fights that I haven't really looked too deep into. Minus 200-ish for Drakkar Klose is a little bit high for a guy, especially against a guy in Christos Giagos, who a lot of people have been kind of looking over. At least overlooking. He was an underdog going into that fight against Damir Hadzovic at plus 145, and he comes out with the unanimous decision. And then in that fight before, he absolutely took apart or beat the fuck out of Mizuto Hirota, but he was a minus 400 favorite in that fight. So I completely understand that aspect of it. But in this Drakkar Klose fight, he's going to come up against a guy that has a little bit more of a complete game, probably a better striker, a more technical striker than a Damir Hadzovic, I should say. But I just don't know who to pick here. Bet-wise, I'm probably passing. Might even be a dog or pass situation here, but I'll pick Drakkar Klose, but in terms of betting, I'm probably going to pass on it as a whole. All right, next up, we got Rafael Assuncao versus Corey Sandhagen, which is a fight that I'm very much excited for. I'm a huge Rafael Assuncao fan. You may not hear that from a lot of people, but I am. I truly think that the guy's a great fighter and very talented. Unfortunately, that he came up short in his last fight against Marlon Moraes, where he got guillotine choked, which was very, very surprising. You're talking about a guy that barely ever, probably never got finished, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, lost to Eric Koch way back at UFC 128, and Uriah Faber choked him out back in 2010. So it's been a while since he had suffered defeat via finish, and Marlon Moraes kind of reminded him why that Moraes is such a beast. So before that, he strung together 4 straight victories over Aljamain Sterling, Marlon Moraes, Matthew Lopez, and Rob Font. And then he ran into Marlon Moraes, and now here he is against Corey Sandhagen, who kind of has a little bit of a very similar style to a guy like TJ Dillashaw, who was also able to beat Rafael Assuncao, but he has his own Sandhagen remixed version of the Dillashaw. I think he's a little bit more wild and unorthodox with his striking, but still disciplined. He is technical, but I think that they have slight differences in terms of Dillashaw and Corey Sandhagen. They both love to move. They both love to move their feet. They both love to move vertically. But I think that Sandhagen has the blueprint out there to beat a guy like Rafael Assuncao. Assuncao likes to get away with pot shotting and beating up guys that don't really move as much. But Sandhagen's going to be on his bicycle for most of that fight, and he's going to be throwing offense with it as well. So I understand why Corey Sandhagen is the favorite here. The best price you could probably get on Sandhagen are minus 147 on Pinnacle. Return on Assuncao at plus 130. I'm personally passing on this fight, but I wouldn't be mad to see somebody bet Corey Sandhagen around that minus 150 range. I think that he has the perfect tools to put a game plan together to beat a guy like Rafael Assuncao. I don't think that he's going to be too fazed by the power that Assuncao is throwing, nor do I think he's even going to be there to eat most of those shots that Assuncao is going to be throwing at him either. So the fact that Sandhagen was able to survive 3 rounds against John Lineker in his last fight should give him enough confidence to go up against a more technical, disciplined striker like Rafael Assuncao, but know that he's able to eat shots as well from guys like John Lineker. So I think that Sandhagen's confidence is sky high right now. 11-1, only ever lost to Jamal Emmers way back in February of 2017, but has notched together 6 straight victories since then. And I think this might be his coming out party. I think he's really going to get a top 10 rank beside his name, maybe even top 7-ish if he's able to pull this victory over Assuncao. But I think he's going to win. I'm going to take him by decision. I don't think that he'll be able to put out Assuncao or choke out Assuncao or anything like that. So I'm going to take Sandhagen. I'm going to take Sandhagen by decision. I just moved the camera, and I hope that really didn't fuck anything up. Regardless, I think that Sandhagen wins this fight via decision, and unfortunately, Rafael Assuncao has to take another loss. All right, next up, we got Devontae Smith against Clay Collard. Clay Collard coming back to the UFC after a little bit of a layoff and even a venture into boxing as well. He's been really coming up against some of these guys and showing off his boxing skills too, but he was in his last fight in the UFC is at UFC 191, which is in September of 2015. He lost to Thiago Trator, and then since then he's gone, 5-1, 4-1 in MMA, as well as 1-0-2 in boxing. So he's definitely trying his hands in boxing and making sure he's tightening those things up. And I did see one of his fights that my man MMA Predictions Guru sent over to me, and I am impressed. I will say that. I am definitely impressed with his hands. He's definitely tightening up his game, and I think that provides a little bit of issues for a guy like Devontae Smith, who, if Smith isn't able to put him out early, I think he's going to have a really tough time dealing with the pressure and pace and hand speed of a Clay Collard for the next two rounds. Minus 750, minus 700 for Devontae Smith is a little crazy. I think a lot of people are, kind of getting blinded by the fact that Clay Collard is, returning to the UFC, never really made it when he was there. And just also, the intimidation factor of a Devontae Smith, who's just been absolutely flatlining all of his opponents in his fights. He creamed fucking Julian Erosa in 46 seconds and then finished his Dong Young Ma just in the 4 minutes of that first round. But he's just been going out there, and we haven't really been able to see what he looks like after after round 2. He lost to John Gunther when he started to really gas and wasn't able to put Gunther away. And if he's not able to put Clay Collard away, I think he's going to have a lot of issues. Collard has been rear naked choked, but he's never been finished. I guess he got finished by Max Holloway by ground and pound. And that was probably it was an overwhelming finish. But I like Collard's toughness. I think that he presents a lot of toughness here. I would not parlay Devontae Smith. I would not put him in a Hail Mary parlay or anything like that. I would stay away from this fight or even just take a very small shot on Clay Collard. I probably won't be betting him straight up myself, but I wouldn't be mad at seeing other people bet Clay Collard. So I'm going to take, fuck it. I'll take Clay Collard by third round TKO, where he keeps the pace up. Devontae Smith starts sucking gas, and Clay Collard comes away with the victory. But yeah, I think the line is way too wide. Like, if you give me Devontae Smith roughly around minus 175, minus 200, maybe, but minus 700, fuck out here. If any of you guys are following anybody that's parlaying Devontae Smith or anything like that, y'all need to reconsider some shit. All right, next up, let's move along. Derek Brunson against Ian Heinisch. This is a fight where I have my lock of the night play on Ian Heinisch. We'll start off with the other guy, though, Derek Brunson. He's coming off a victory over Elias Theodorou in a very uneventful fight, which ended up causing Elias Theodorou his UFC career. They ended up, cutting him after that performance. It was only his first loss, I believe, in a stretch of fights that he was winning. But Derek Brunson comes into Ottawa, gets a victory over Elias, and now he welcomes another young up-and-comer in Ian Heinisch, who presents a lot of problems for him. We haven't seen many fights where Derek Brunson really implements his wrestling game. We know he has the credentials and accolades, but he hasn't really been able to go out there in some of these fights and implement that wrestling game that has, probably gotten him to where he is now. He has a lot of hand or power in his hands, so I understand why he may trust in that a little bit too much. But when you go up against guys like Jacare Souza and Israel Adesanya, you got to rely on more than just your hands, and we saw why. Lyoto Machida, he was able to put him out quickly. Daniel Kelly, you're obviously supposed to be putting out guys like that quickly. But with Ian Heinisch, I think he's going to have a tough time putting Heinisch out. I think Heinisch is very, very... he's definitely very tough. He's only ever gotten choked out by Marcus Perez, and I don't think that Derek Brunson is going to offer up any type of submission threat here. I think that if Ian Heinisch is able to survive the first 2.5-ish minutes, he should be able to run away with this. I think his pace and pressure is going to be a little bit too much for Derek Brunson. I think probably by the end of the first round and midway through the second round, we'll see that Derek Brunson slowly is going to start to fade, and Ian Heinisch continues to get stronger and just push forward. Whether it's if he gets some, I think he will get takedowns later into the fight. But once he lands that first takedown, I think that it's going to be some issues for Derek Brunson. I don't expect him to keep Brunson down, but I think he's going to keep Brunson working, by continuously striking, by applying the pressure. I think that he has a lot of potential. The one thing that I love most about guys are guys that have great cardio, guys that always push forward, and obviously some striking defense as well. So I do trust in Ian's striking defense here to stay away from any of the big shots that Derek Brunson throws, and he kind of telegraphs those shots a little bit too. So I'm not too worried about Ian, and I'm not worried about his gas tank. So I think his pace and pressure is really going to be the factor here to get the victory, and I'm very, very, very confident in it, which is why I'm more than happy to make it a lock of the night play for myself. So I got 5 units at minus 152. Currently he's at minus 147. So I may have missed the best line on him, and people might start to put money a little bit on Derek Brunson just because he's the bigger name. But once they see Ian Heinisch fight, I think they're going to kind of change their mind and kind of regret putting their money on Brunson. So I like Heinisch here. I'm going to say I'll give it to Brunson. I'll say that it's going to be a third round. You know what? I'll say third round TKO for Ian Heinisch. I think he overwhelms him, breaks Derek Brunson, and then TKOs him in the third round. But I really like Heinisch here. Sorry. All right, next up we got Sodiq Yussuf versus Gabriel Benitez. It feels like I just talked about Sodiq Yussuf. He fought at the end of March against Shayman Rice, where he comes away with a decision victory. I love this guy. I think this is another very promising guy as well. He lost to Luis Gomez in, what is that? December of 2017. and he's strung together 4 straight victories since then. Shayman Moraes probably being the most impressive, but here he is against the UFC vet in Gabriel Benitez. So I think that Moraes is the better fighter, but I think with Benitez, you're getting a guy that has plenty of octagon time. He's been in the UFC since 2014. And now he's coming up against a young up-and-comer in Sodiq Yussuf, who has ridiculous hands. His hand speed is crazy. His accuracy is insane too. But I think that there's a lot of potential for Sodiq Yussuf. And I think that Gabriel Benitez is kind of a punching bag brought in for this. So minus 300, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody, actually, you know what? The play here probably is Sodiq Yussuf inside the distance. I think he definitely has the speed and power to finish a guy like Gabriel Benitez. Let's see what that is. Yussuf inside the distance is plus 135. So if you can get plus money on that, by all means, I would say go for that shit. I think he has a lot of potential to win this fight. Not win this fight, definitely win this fight, but I mean by finish. So I think we'll see him catch Benitez, probably with a 1-2, drop Benitez and follow up with some ground and pound. It's hard for me to see how Benitez deals with the speed and pressure of Yussuf's of Yussuf striking pretty much. So I like Yussuf here. I think that he finishes Benitez. I'll say second round once Yussuf really gets the feel of Benitez's offense. I don't think Benitez will have success getting this fight to the ground, since I think that will probably be his only route to victory. It's tough to see how Benitez wins this fight, and I think Sodiq Yussuf is going to continue his meteoric rise in that division. So I got Yussuf by second round KO. All right, let's move along to the heaters. We got Yoel Romero against Paulo Costa. Yoel Romero is coming off a victory over Luke Rockhold. He's coming off that loss to Robert Whittaker. What am I talking about? It feels like we just never see the Soldier of God anymore. He was supposed to fight. The last time he fought was June of 2018. Then he was supposed to fight Jacare Souza in April. That fight never ended up happening. And he did take a grappling match against Chris Barnett and won by Kimura, but now here he is against a young up-and-comer in Paulo Costa, who has nothing but championship intentions in mind. So Yoel Romero wants to get that title but he wants to get that title shot again. He had plenty of opportunities to win it. A lot of people think he won that Robert Whittaker fight. He lost by split decision, so maybe a big win over Paulo Costa here would give him enough claim to fame to try to get that title shot again after Robert Whittaker is done with Israel Adesanya or whoever comes out victorious from there. Maybe Yoel Romero could get that shot, but I think an impressive victory over Paulo Costa here is all he needs. I don't know if Yoel Romero's style is going to work here. This is a 3-round fight. Third round, Yoel Romero is always nuts. But I don't know if it even makes it that far. Paulo Costa throws fucking bombs in all of his fights. And I think that he has more than enough speed, range management, and pressure to finish a guy like Yoel Romero, even before the third round hits. This is a tough fight for Yoel, in my opinion. I think I like the dog money on Paulo Costa. I think he is going to be the slightly quicker guy, but Yoel Romero is quick himself in terms of how he blitzes and with his overhand rights. Like that wrestler overhand right, like I always like to talk about. I think that he has... he's like second to none in terms of speed when it comes to that blitzing type of style. But I think that Paulo Costa has the perfect remedy for that in terms of countering it. Just being the stronger, faster guy, in my opinion. I think Paulo Costa definitely has the advantage here. The experience advantage obviously goes to Yoel Romero. He's been in the bigger fights. He's added the bigger spotlight. Paulo Costa's biggest fight, you got to say, is probably Johnny Hendricks, where he finished him in round 2 at UFC 217. And then he beat Uriah Hall after that. But I don't think it gets any bigger than fucking Yoel Romero, third from the top, at UFC 241. A lot of eyes are going to be on this fight, mainly because of Yoel Romero, so that should bring a lot of pressure to Paulo Costa. But I think that he has the knockout power, he has the accuracy, and I think that he could definitely finish Yoel Romero. And we got to see what the time off and away from the cage for Yoel Romero has done to him too. We got to remember, this guy's like 77 years old or some shit. We have no idea how old he actually is and when that age is actually going to catch up to him. But he's listed at 42 right now, and Paulo Costa is like 28. I like Costa here at dog odds, man. I'm going to go with Costa, which is unfortunate because I like Yoel Romero as well. But I think Paulo Costa has all the tools here to catch Yoel Romero and put him out. So I'm going with Paulo Costa. All right, next up, we got the co-main event. The return of Nate. Whoop. Nope. Whoop. There we go. We got Nate Diaz versus Anthony Pettis. This is a great fucking fight in terms of styles. Starting off with Anthony Pettis, he's coming off that big victory over Stephen Thompson, where he, he was pretty much losing that fight. Let's be honest. Let's call it spade a spade. He was losing that fight until he landed a Superman punch with 5 seconds left in the second round, putting Stephen Thompson absolutely out. There couldn't have been more out than Stephen Thompson was in that fight. So I like Pettis here. Just for strictly being a little bit more active, but Nate Diaz has that style to give Anthony Pettis issues. Anthony Pettis never does well when he's being consistently pressured, consistently backed up, punched in the face, jabbed his face off. He has a lot of trouble with those types of game plans. And, Tony Ferguson was successful with it. Dustin Poirier was successful with it. Max Holloway, Edson Barboza, Eddie Alvarez, Rafael dos Santos. All of his losses were due to the fact that these fighters were moving forward, pushing forward, and giving him issues. Charles Oliveira didn't really do that. Jim Miller doesn't really do that. Michael Chiesa doesn't really do that either. Stephen Thompson, he's more of a point fighter. And, yeah, he was beating the fuck out of Anthony Pettis. But all Pettis needed was that one opening, and he was able to get the finish. I think that Nate Diaz doesn't have the knockout power or really the shots to put a guy like Anthony Pettis out, but I think his pressure is enough to give Pettis issues. You got to go with the dog here. I'm surprised that Nate Diaz, it is a close line, I'll leave it at that, but plus 105, I like Nate Diaz. I like him at the dog money. We don't know how he will look coming off of such a long layoff as well. I just don't know. I'll either stay away from this fight or I'll bet the dog in Nate Diaz. But he has the perfect style, and he has the jiu-jitsu as well. So if this fight somehow gets taken to the ground, it's not a complete wash. So it comes down to Nate Diaz being able to continuously move forward, apply the pressure. He has a great chin too. Josh Thompson was probably the only person to knock him out, and that was maybe like a blue moon type of thing. So I like Nate Diaz, man, and the style that he brings is the perfect kryptonite for a guy like Anthony Pettis. So I'll go with Nate Diaz by 3-round decision. I think he just absolutely boxes Anthony Pettis' face off, and any type of threat on the ground, I think that it'll be nullified with Diaz's grappling accolades. So I'll go with Diaz by decision here. But it should be a great fight. I don't really want to bet this fight just to be a little bit impartial to it and watch it unbiased. But if it, maybe if the price somehow rises and gets better on Nate Diaz, I'll probably go that way. All right. That leads us to our main event, which also leads us to a little bit of a surprise. Let me get this shit set up so that we can have a good time. But let's fucking get this going. So with the main event here, we got Daniel Cormier against Stipe Miocic, but I'm going to be bringing in somebody that should be helping me out to break down this fight. So we got my man right over here. We got my man Fuzz from Fuzz Nate Picks. What's going on, my brother?
Not too much. How's it going?
Great. I'm trying to get the video set up perfect so you got a nice and bright setup here for people to see ya. All right, there we go. God damn, I don't know if it. Oh, there we go. Perfect. All right. So I'm bringing you in to break down Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic. Before we do that, though, let me give you guys a quick shout out because you guys swept the last event with Vicente Luque, Volkan Ozdemir, and a very, very sharp play on Valentina Shevchenko to win by unanimous decision at plus 235. God damn, that was nice.
Yeah, it was. We viewed that line as a little off, especially just because the inside the distance was, I think it was around plus 100, and her to win by regular decision was plus 125. So unless it was going to a split, which we didn't find likely, unanimous decision had all the value there.
What did you, was it Liz Carmouche's resilience in terms of her toughness and durability? Was that kind of what really pushed you guys toward this play as well? Or did you just think that Shevchenko was going to play the safe? Or what was it for you guys?
Yeah, a little bit of both. We didn't think she was going to make kind of the same aggressive mistakes that Jessica I made. And a bigger part of it, honestly, was that Shevchenko's a counter striker. So just the fact if you don't really like go at her, you're not gonna see everything she really has. And I mean, she dropped her. I think it was with might have been a spinning back fist, I believe.
Yep.
But other than that, I mean, she didn't really land anything significant. She was just playing it safe, doing what she needed to do to win.
Before I hop off you guys' nuts, you guys are on a 9-event winning streak, plus 14 units on that with the 58% ROI. You guys are fucking killing it over there.
Yeah, getting pretty hot. Got to give most of the credit to Nathan. He does a lot of the tape, especially now his stint with the Air Force has ended, so it gives him a lot more time. He's going way more in depth.
So is this like a Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman type of thing where you're like the main talking head and we got Nate doing all the grunt work?
To an extent, yeah. I'll admit that. I mean, I watch all the fights, obviously, too. I just don't quite have as much time to do as much of the tape, and he does a really good job with it.
That's awesome. You guys got a great dynamic going on. You know, I'm kind of surprised you guys aren't a little bit more synonymous in the MMA betting world, the Twitter world, because you guys definitely deserve the fucking accolades. You know, I know my man Rockstar Z is giving you guys big shout outs all the time, and I've been following you guys for a couple of months now too. So you guys are really killing it. And one of the first guys when I came up with this idea of having cappers on the show as well, you guys were one of the first on because I was like, you know what, you guys deserve the shine. You know, you guys are putting in the work. You guys are doing it the right way. None of this 10-unit bullshit plays and all that type of stuff. You guys are really doing it the right way. So keep up the really good work, guys. You guys are fucking killing it.
Hey, well, I really appreciate it. Really appreciate you having us on too. It's just a nice opportunity to get some more followers, get yourselves out there a little more.
Fuck yeah. So let's get into why the hell you're on this. We got Daniel Cormier against Stipe motherfucking Miocic. Daniel Cormier defending the title for the second time against the man that he took the strap from. The first time around, they ended in a first-round knockout with, 27 seconds left in the first round. And then he comes back and defends against Derek Lewis in November. And now here we are, August of 2019, number 2. How does it go down? Who do you like? What do you see from both guys?
First of all, we got a pretty strong lean. We haven't done a lot of tape. We have done a little bit on this fight, usually work our way top down. We like DC. We think it's going to go... not necessarily a first-round knockout again, but we think it'll go a lot really similar to how that first fight was going. DC's traditionally been kind of a slow starter in a lot of fights. So the fact that Stipe was connecting a little bit early, we didn't find as a huge deal. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest things for me where they both did connect at different points with some pretty solid shots, but when Stipe connected on DC, it really didn't seem like it was affecting him that much. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, when DC was connecting to Stipe, especially later in the round, around that like 2-minute mark-ish, it really turned the tides. He started connecting with some solid shots, and instead of Stipe moving forward on him, he started kind of pushing Stipe back, and that's really where he started finding a lot more of his success.
I think that it really threw Stipe off once he felt the power of DC. I think that might have been the turning point of the fight.
Yeah, for sure. And it all kind of started with he ate a couple of leg kicks, and I mean they were pretty powerful. One almost took him off his feet.
Yeah.
And the jab just kind of to find the range, but like the majority of his damage he does once he gets into that kind of dirty boxing range and in the clinch.
It really caught him off.
Work himself inside.
Yeah, it really caught off Stipe off guard when he landed that shot off the clinch and or off the break, I should say. It's those little intricacies that DC is able to implement in his game plan, which I really think allows him to have advantages in these fights. He may be up there in age, but this guy is like fucking a young skipper when it comes to fight IQ. You know, or I should say a grizzled vet, but like not showing signs like a Chuck Liddell or anything like that. This guy has managed to accrue so much knowledge and fight IQ in his career, and he's, you know, compared to most guys, it's weird how late he came into the game and has been able to leave like almost a GOAT-like stamp on the UFC and MMA as a whole. Like minus the John Jones fights, it's been all fucking DC.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I mean, along with his age, I mean, yeah, he is 40 years old now, but that's not your typical 40-year-old UFC fighter.
No.
A lot of those guys have taken way more damage.
Yep.
Just been in wars, that sort of thing. Whereas DC, like you said, he came in late, and honestly, other than the Jones fights, he hasn't taken a whole lot of damage.
Nope.
Like he's really kind of kept it to a minimum for the most part, which has really helped him extend his career, in my opinion.
It kind of helps as well with him being in the heavyweight division. You know what I mean? It's like the dinosaur division where everybody's almost like, what is it? The median age is probably like fucking 39 or some shit, right?
Yeah.
But I think Stipe is probably, outside of John Jones, let's talk about like legitimate heavyweight contenders and the guys that are in the top 3, top 4. We're talking about Stipe, we're talking about Francis Ngannou, but I don't think that we'll see DC ever fight a guy like Francis. So I think that Stipe and John Jones is probably all that's left for him. But the real question is he going to get past Stipe once again?
Yeah. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, it's a big legacy fight for both of them, too. I mean, Stipe, being from Ohio myself, big Stipe fan to begin with.
Yeah.
Bet on him the first time around, not going to lie. But second time around, we've kind of turned the tides. Might have been a little bit of bias there for the hometown guy.
No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, it's hard not to, you know. But, this second time around, mainly just like a lot of the stuff that we saw from that first fight, we just see happening again. We do think, like, just a little bit of devil's advocate, like, it'll be a longer fight. And I do think for a lot of that first round, Stipe was winning.
Yep.
But he might come out a little more hesitant, but it seemed like it was wearing on him. Like, in his face and his cardio as well. He was starting to just kind of get marked up a little bit, and he definitely looked like he was starting to get a little bit winded towards the end of that round. So the longer it goes, the better it's going to be for DC as well, in my opinion.
What do you think of the so is it safe to say that you're going with DC here?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Would you...
Not necessarily. We're not sure if we're going official. We got to finish the tape, but we're probably about 80% going to make an official play on DC.
What do you think about DC to win inside the... Oh, whoa. This line is really weird. I'm looking at best fight odds right now. DC to win inside the distance is -145, but him straight up is like -135, -137. Somebody fucked up. I don't know if best fight odds is fucking up right now, but you might as well pick DC straight up. When I initially saw the line, it was like +125 DC inside the distance. I thought there was a lot of value there because I don't see this going 5 rounds, to be honest. I think that we're going to see DC completely wear on Stipe, whether it's his wrestling or the dirty boxing that we talked about a little bit earlier. But I don't see how Stipe sees it to the final bout. And the main thing is, his performance against Francis Ngannou was very underwhelming. You know, like the fact that he was so gassed in that 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, he's lucky that Francis Ngannou was even more gassed.
Yeah, and that's for sure. And it definitely helped him out as well in that fight that once he did get Francis down, although he got back up quite a few times, he was able to kind of hang on him and just wear on him.
Yep.
Whereas
that's not happening here.
He down as well, but I don't see him holding him down there for any sort of extended period of time. He's not going to win by holding him down and wrestle fucking him.
What do you think the line will probably close at? Because right now on 5 dimes, we're seeing -140 for DC, +120 for Miocic. Do you think it closes? Do you think it gets wider? What do you think?
That's hard to say because it's already started off. I believe DC opened at around like -160. Ooh. And it's already come down. Money's coming in on Stipe, so I didn't think it was going to get any better to begin with. I mean, after a guy got a first-round knockout against somebody.
I know, right?
you never know where people want to throw their money.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. Yeah, he did open out -165 on 5 dimes. He's currently sitting at -140. I kind of set my alert for like -125 because I saw it was kind of trending in that way. It's kind of gone up a little bit since I set that alarm, so I might have fucked up. I might have missed the best line on him. We might have missed the best line on him, but we're still going to wait. You know, I think that people are still kind of sold on Stipe, and they think that he's going to probably be able to avenge this victory. But it's safe to say that both me and you are probably on the other side of the fence here.
Yeah, we haven't really heard too much of your thoughts. What do you think about it?
I truly think that, you know, DC has the advantage in the boxing, in my opinion. He has the advantage in the dirty boxing range as well. I think with the grappling, it's pretty much a unanimous for DC as well. I don't see where Stipe really has the advantage here. You can say knockout power, but he did land some good shots on DC, and it didn't really seem to affect him in that first fight. So it's mystifying to me that the line is even -140. So I thought it would be closer to like -175, -180. I don't know what people who are betting on Stipe are really seeing. And even, dude, that first fight though, the line on that, like I hate to harp on you for taking that hometown guy shot at. What do you remember the line that you got him on?
Oh yeah, I think he was. I was close to minus 180, minus 200. It was not good.
I think it was plus 230-ish that I hit DC at. And I was absolutely mystified. I was kicking myself afterwards for not even hitting it harder. There was actually a Hail Mary parlay I had as well with DC to win inside the distance at plus 450. I didn't see that shit going 5 rounds, especially Stipe coming off that Francis fight, right? Like that seemed like that had all the glaring issues that you needed to see to fucking put money on DC. But Stipe, great, has the claim to be the greatest heavyweight of all time. I think DC is going to overtake that once he gets the victory here. He probably needs a little bit more on his resume since he's only fought like 3 or 4 times in the heavyweight division in the UFC. Besides his Roy Nelson and Frank Mir fights, let's like look past that shit. We don't need to really talk about those. But I definitely like DC here. He's definitely going to be one of my lock of the night plays. I already have Ian Heinisch earlier in the card, but DC definitely lock of the night play material for myself. I don't know how hard you guys intend on potentially going on DC, but it's safe to say that it's consensus here that we're both on DC.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it'll kind of just depend. Once we finish up our tape, we'll have a better idea how aggressive we really want to hit it. But it's looking like we're going to at least probably go two units at bare minimum.
Nice.
We don't like to get too crazy. So
yeah.
That's about an average bet for us.
Nice.
But, we'll see where the line goes to. Just kind of got to play it by ear a little bit. But there's definitely value on, should we kind of line it closer to like minus 160, minus 170?
Probably.
So anything minus 150 or below is value in our opinion for the most part as it stands now.
All right, you got 1 minute. Give me one more guy that you guys are potentially looking at on this card that you think you might play, may not. I'm not going to say you're going to officially play him, but is there one other fighter that stands out on this card for you, maybe even value-wise or anything?
Yeah, sure. There's definitely a few more that we're looking at. One that kind of sticks out to me just because he's been a bit of a money train for us recently is Corey Sandhagen.
Nice.
That we're going to have to go way more in depth with the tape, but just initial thoughts, we think he just has the volume that as long as he's not getting knocked out, he's going to probably win a decision. Mm-hmm. Assuncao is obviously no joke. He's very legit, but just like the amount of kicks in the range that Corey Sandhagen keeps, his footwork, the kid is good. He's really good. So as long as he can kind of prevent himself from getting caught with like a big shot and just like they'll swing the fight, we think he's got pretty decent value. But like I said, once again, got to kind of go more into the tape for that one.
I broke that fight down a little bit earlier in the podcast, but I feel like he can almost take a little bit of the blueprint that TJ Dillashaw put out, because he kind of has a similar style, but like Sandhagen remixed, if you want to call it that, right? Like he has a little bit of that, the movement, and he has the footwork to go with it. And I say he's a little bit more wild than TJ Dillashaw, but he still keeps it disciplined and is able to land the shots that matter. So I think he should be able to do the same thing to Rafael Assuncao. And I like that pick, man. So good luck to you guys if you guys end up taking that pick. Anything you want to let the listeners know? I'm still going to shout you out. Everything's going to be in the bio. Your Bet MMA picks page, your Twitter handle. Anything else you want to give a shout out other than Nate himself?
No, that's about it. Just kind of give credit where credit is due. Nate does do a lot of the work, so just want to give him a shout out. But hey, shout out to you as well. Been doing pretty well. Really appreciate you having us on. Great opportunity for us. Trying to just kind of gain our notoriety.
No worries, brother. I can't wait to have you guys back on, and probably both of you, if you guys can get in at the same place. I'm not even sure if you guys live nearby each other or anything like that, but
no, we do. That might be possible in the future.
Yeah, let's get you guys on the same fucking show. We'll break down maybe 2 fights or something we can go a little bit deeper into, but I really appreciate you doing this, man. You really fucking saved the night, and I can't wait to fucking pump you guys out, and good luck this weekend, man. Let's fucking make some money.
Hell yeah, you too, sir.
All right, brother. Take it easy. I will see you next time.
You too.
All right. That was my man Fuzz at Fuzz and Nate Picks. Let me just get this a little bit nicer. All right. Yeah, that was my man Fuzz at Fuzz and Nate Picks. Great guys over there. They don't get the recognition that they really deserve. So I would definitely check them out. Make sure you guys follow them on Twitter at FN Fight Picks. And keep on their train, man. They're doing it right. They're fucking killing it. And I think that the fact that we're on DC together can only make it better. So, my pick was DC. Fuzz's pick was DC. And I think Nate's going to be on the same page too, since they pretty much love each other. they're doing it well over there. All right. That's pretty much it for the breakdown for this episode. Hope you guys loved the interview with Fuzz. I can't wait to continue doing it. I'm going to be doing it for every pay-per-view podcast that I put out. I'm going to bring in a new capper. If you guys want anybody that you want to possibly see on there, just hit me up on Twitter at MMALOTN, or even just hit the comment section below, and I'll try to orchestrate some things. But for the next maybe 2 or 3 pay-per-views, I already have some guys lined up there I think you guys are really going to enjoy. So I will try to shore it up a little bit. I know I had a little bit of the difficulties getting the video up there just now, but we're doing all this shit live. I'm not trying to do any super produced type of shit. We're trying to make it as professional, but also like fucking live. We're doing this shit live. I don't want to have to cut and paste all this shit together afterwards. We're just doing it one motherfucking shot. So things will get better, I promise. I can't wait to continue cashing these bets. I love fucking being in this chair. I haven't been in this chair in fucking 2 weeks with all that craziness I had this past week going on. So that's pretty much it. Hit me up at MMALOTN on Twitter. The website's MMALOTN.ca. I will update the Lock of the Night challenge tonight when I get home, and I will also make sure I send off the tape index to my man Yussuf, so you guys are able to have that and use that for your gambling preparations. That's pretty much on my end. On behalf of Big Rob, Glitch, my man, me, and Fuzz from Fuzz Nate Picks. Thanks for watching that episode, and good luck this weekend at UFC 241. I'm out.